Welcome. Sorry it took me so long to get back to another video. Work got in the way for a while. Well, now I'm gonna demonstrate part 3 of the life cycle series for the Grannom Caddis. I already prepped the hook. I will put all the materials in the description. I already put the monofilament eyes on the fly to help with time. If you've never made monofilament eyes before, I would suggest that you watch the little short video that I posted just before this video on how to make your own monofilament eyes. Okay, for the abdomen on this fly we're going to use the kileys nymph skin again, just like we did on the larva in part 1 of this series. So I cut that at a taper so it ties in easier and thinner. Let's go ahead and tie this in. Run our thread up to about that far behind the eyes. We'll make a half hitch. And we're going to want to get our thread out of the way. Okay, just like with the larva, when you wrap this material, don't pull too hard. 1, it'll break, and 2, you want the segmented look that this gives. And this stuff is stretchy enough. You pull too hard, and you will lose that segmented appearance that it gives. Okay, we want to go to about right there. Tie this off. I like to tie this particular stuff in just going off the edge of it instead of going over the entire piece of it, because the way you pull this tight and trim it, it pulls nicely right into the body. Perfect. Bring this back just a little ways. Okay, for the shell back, we're going to use a piece of black shellback, and you're going to want to cut this at a little bit of a taper, like you'd to make it easier to tie in, kind of like that. Now let's fasten. Oh, I'm skipping a step there, pardon me. We need to put our wing buds in. So take a brown partridge or hen saddle and strip the fuzz off the end of it. And then brush back a piece from the tip, brush it back so kind of like this. Let's add a little more to that. Okay, then snip off the very tip. Like that. Okay, now brush those back forward. So it looks like this. Now when you lay this on the hook, you're going to want it to kind of angle downward, and you don't want it quite to the back of the fly, of the body. Make a couple wraps. They're not too tight, so you can adjust it. Get it how you want it. Pull it up to where you want it. Like that. Now let's go ahead and fasten this in. Okay, now let's snip off the excess of this. Okay, now we're going to use the shell back. So now we're tying a piece of shell back. Fasten that in. Let's go right on up, back in there, just about like that. And I go a little further than that. There, like that. So we're up onto the abdomen a little. Now let's snip this, but you don't want to about that much. You don't have to use all. You won't use all that, but it makes it a lot easier to handle it. Okay, now we're going to use a brown dubbing mix. It's called Vampire Grizzly Bear. Don't need a whole awful lot of it. It's a mixture of naturals and synthetics. Wrap this on your thread, a little noodle. Add a little more. Bring it up right behind the eyes. There we go. Okay, now jump in front of the eyes, and now we're going to attach the two horns. I'm using mottled turkey tail feather for this. Just peel off 2 strands of that. So I got them separated. I'll take the tag ends of them and do the same, fold them back over like that. Now you can snip those parts off. Like my thread jumped off there. Be careful when you do this that you don't accidentally snip the horns off. Yeah, I've done that. Okay, now kind of lay those back. And we're going to pull that scud back up over the eye and the horns, and we're going to tie it off right in front of the eye of the hook. Or excuse me, right behind the eye of the hook. A few wraps with this. Okay, now let's take a little bit more of the dubbing. Put it right in front there, like that. Now let's pull the shell back over and it's tight in right behind the eyes. Okay. Now we will snip just up fairly close. There we go, perfect. Because that little end will act as part of that sail back. Now let's take a little bit of head cement, brush on there. Now we'll finish it. Perfect. There it is. The Grannom Caddis pupa. If you want, you can pick the dubbing out a little bit, or you can just let it fish it. It will pick out and bug out on its own. Trim off our wayward feathers there. And there it is. It's rather simple. It fishes well. That nymph skin helps it to sink rather quickly. So anyways, if you like this, please hit the like button and subscribe to us, and stay tuned for part 4 when we tie the adult version, the dry fly. Have a good evening.